Sidney A. McPhee, our 10th and longest serving university president, to give remarks. Please welcome Dr. McPhee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Doesn't that sound good? Well, good afternoon, and it's always a pleasure to have an opportunity to come and visit with SGA student body president and his colleagues. I've done this every year that I've been president. I think I've had the honor and the privilege of coming and visiting with you at least once or twice a year in a formal setting like this. And of course, I usually find an opportunity, and your president reminds me that I'm supposed to host you all for some goodies a little later on this evening. And so we look forward to seeing you at the president's residence, where we will have some requested, do you all know what the request is all about? Yeah. Okay, so you've met our executive team, provost, the vice president. I will tell you, in my 25th year as the university president here, when I'm introduced as the longest serving president, it makes me feel like I am ancient. But it is truly an honor to be a part of this incredible institution for 25 years. And I have said publicly and quite honestly each time I have an opportunity to speak to folks and they ask me about my longevity in this position, it's not really all about Sidney McPhee or Dr. McPhee or President McPhee. It's truly about the people. It's about my colleagues that I work with, the incredible faculty and staff that we have at this university, and most important, you. Without you as students, excellent, outstanding students, we really would not be the university we are today. And I say that having had the opportunity of working at 3 other major universities prior to coming to MTSU. I will put up our students against all of the institutions and the students that I have worked with in the last umpteen number of years. I'm not going to tell you the number of years because you'll be checking out what my age is. But this is an incredible institution. When you look at the history of MTSU, starting 114, 115 years ago as a small teachers college training teachers and ministers, religious folks. I think we started with like 12 students, 12 or 27 students, total students. Fast forward to today, we have over 21,000 students, over 300 degree programs and concentrations in major, offering degrees from the bachelor's degree up to the PhD, the doctorate degrees, with incredible reputation as an academic institution. And when people ask me over the years, what are some of the most proud moments? So what would you identify as some of the areas that you're most proud of during your tenure? It's hard for me to pick one out because there's so many great things that have happened at this university. It truly is a real challenge. But if I'm pushed, I typically would say the university has always been a very good university, a very strong university, particularly as it relates to undergraduate students. But in the past 25 years plus with my colleagues, when we started this journey, we decided that we want to elevate the prestige of this university. And to give you some kind of an example and some evidence of where we were and where we are today, in 2001, when I arrived, we did not enroll any National Merit Scholars. We did not enroll any student that had like a 29 or 30 on the ACT. We were a good institution. We had a tremendous amount of students who were actually taking remedial education, and the provost will attest to that, because he's been here from the beginning of times. And we have now moved to not only being an institution that attracts the best and the brightest, and many of you reflect the best and brightest from your communities, but we have the distinction of having a Rhodes Scholar finalist come out of this university. Typically that happens just in Ivy League schools. And each of you are responsible, and your predecessors, for helping MTSU to become really the talk of the town, not only just in this region, but in the state of Tennessee and nationally. How good? Another example is that we had very few international students when we started 25 years ago. And prior to the pandemic, we actually overtook Vanderbilt with the largest number of international students. And currently, we have over 72 students from 72 different countries from around the world. And the other pride point for me is, if you look around this room, you see the diversity of students' backgrounds. It represents, you all represent what America looks like. And in a major university like MTSU, you typically do not see this kind of demographic. We are proud of that. All right, so now where are we today? We are ranked by the Princeton Review as one of the best universities in the United States of America. I like to say in my speeches and when we do the recruiting tours, there are 2,400 colleges and universities in the United States of America, four-year colleges, 2,400. And then if you just look at the state of Tennessee, there are about 50 public universities, state universities, four-year, and 34, I think the executive director of TEC, who was on this campus a couple of weeks ago, gave this statistics. 34 private universities, so they're a total of 80 universities, colleges and universities in the state. 2,400 four-year in the United States, 80 plus 84 in Tennessee. The Princeton Review only select under 400 of the best universities in the United States of America. And you all need to know these kinds of statistics and facts. So when you go home, you can tell, you can brag about the institution that you are part of. Each year, the Princeton Review only select under 400. This year was 391 of the best in the United States. Your university has been on that list for 7 consecutive years. And out of the 84 institutions in the state, only 5 have made that list over the years. The 3 were private universities. You pretty much can guess at least one of those private. Vanderbilt University, Rhodes College in Memphis, a very small, great liberal arts. The University of the South, Sewanee, another small liberal arts. Episcopalian University. Only 2 public universities. The university that you are a student, MTSU, and some other university in the east part of the state that we don't recognize. So, what I want to say to you today is we are thrilled that not only that you are a student at MTSU and you selected MTSU, but you have taken the additional step to be engaged and involved by being a member of the Student Government Association. And I am most proud, particularly of your leadership, your executive group. As you all know, the president of the SGA is a member of the university executive team, and we have a history of great partnership. In fact, we were in Memphis recruiting 2 days ago, And we had about 84 counselors for a reception that we provide information about the university. And when we go to these communities, we do 15, 16 of these across the U.S., not U.S., across Tennessee, and then we do Kentucky, Alabama, and Georgia. But when we were in Memphis 2 days ago, we always invite an alum from the area to come and help, promote the university. But we had one of the former SGA president, Brandon McPhee, who came at lunch and did he was a former SGA president. He now is a partner. He is in a law firm in Memphis, and he is responsible now for about 15 lawyers where he's a managing partner. He's a graduate of this university. He was a former SGA president of university. And so, congratulations for you taking that extra effort and taking the initiative to be engaged. And if there's one ask I would make, and then I'm going to open it up, I'd like to field questions, and obviously we have the experts here in the various areas that can help. If you ask a question about a particular area, we have all of the vice president and the provost here that can help respond to those, to give you the answers. But I want to say to you that it is important that you continue to be involved, but take the next step and encourage your classmates, your peers, to get involved with the university. I know many of our students have obligations. Many of our students have to work, and many of you, perhaps in this room, have other responsibilities. But the college experience has to be a part of where you are engaged and involved. And if there's one area I would like to see the university improved in, and that is a greater involvement across the board with our students, with the activities that we have. Not just athletic activities, but we have a tremendous amount of music, production, theater. A lot happens on this campus, and I would love to see more engagement of our student population. So with that, let me take a break and open it up for any questions that you might have. Love it. There's no hesitation here. Okay, tell us your name, your major, and where you're from, and ask your question.
My name is Janine Grover. I'm a journalism major from Murfreesboro, kind of. My question was, are there any updates on the renaming of Forest Hall? We haven't really heard anything about that in a minute.
Great question. And the answer to that is no. And I don't anticipate that there will be an answer, to be very honest and direct with you, in the future, given the environment that we are in, particularly the political environment. So for those of you who are new or if you're freshmen, you perhaps have heard about a building, one of our ROTC building has been named from the early, what year, Joe? Like 52, 1950, right after 54. Yeah, by a Confederate general who obviously would not be a person that the university today would name a facility. And you're making me nervous with this camera like this. I'm wondering, is he got a gun? He's going to shoot me or something? We have tried, during my 25 years, at least 3 times to get the state of Tennessee in the process that is required by law to remove that name. There is a historical commission that the state has established, and any facility or building or monument that is on a state property or owned by the state, to change the name or make any adjustment or alteration to that monument or building, you have to get approval from the State of Tennessee Historical Commission. We've been before. I personally have made the case at least 2 times formally, but in many cases, have spoken to individuals, officials, about removing that name, and the university has not been successful in doing that. And as you know now, you've been hearing, you've kept up with the news, even nationwide, there was a removal of many of the names of some of the Confederate generals in the military, the bases. The new administration has actually rescinded and are putting those names back. So my response to you is, at this point in time in our history and the current political environment that we are in, I don't see that being a possibility right now, to be honest with you. Doesn't mean that we don't want to continue to push to have it removed. Okay. Good question. Yes.
Hello, Dr. McPhee. I'm Jorge Avila. I'm a political science major here at MTSU, who's a senior. Thank you for coming to speak to us today, first off. I had a question regarding your position as president here at the university. As you know, your contract is up in 2026. So moving forward, especially, I guess it's a personal question on what will that look like for you and the university. And if the university goes about choosing another successor, what will that look like, especially for those of us who are concerned that that process will look political rather than merit-based?
That's a very good question. You're already putting me on the spot here. Right now, my decision at this point has not been made about I've been in this job now for 25 years. And you're right, my contract, I have an extended contract that ends December of 2026. To your question with regards to the process, the Board of Trustees has the statutory responsibility for selecting a university president. And what typically happens, the process involves typically a committee that is established and organized by the board. Typically there would be members of the university, faculty and staff in the community, and board members. It's normally it's chaired by a member of the Board of Trustees. And there is, just like when I was appointed 25 years ago, I went through interview process. There was 100 applicants for the position of the president of MTSU when I applied. And there's a process where you go through, and there's advertising. Typically now in the most recent times of selecting a president, Board of Trustees usually would employ a search firm, and that search firm will go about taking applications, and then there would be a whole set of interviews that the board will arrange. That will give students, faculty, and staff an opportunity to give input. But the major decision, the final decision for the appointment of a university president is that of the Board of Trustees. And typically that's done in a majority vote of the board. So normally, whatever that application number is, it would be narrowed down to a number, usually 4, 5, or 6. I think when I became president, I went through that process. I think there were like 6 finalists. Then it was narrowed down to 3, and then there was a selection made. So I see a very similar process happening. And I would imagine that within the next couple of months, you will know one way or the other when that process, or if that process will be started. Very good question.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hey, my name is Elena Collier. I'm a first year sophomore from Memphis, Tennessee. So I was wondering, is there a reason why the farmers market isn't open on the weekends? Like, as a freshman who lives on campus, it feels like McAlley's is the only free reason, to eat, because it's usually pretty steady traffic. So I feel like if farmers was open, people would go over there too.
All right, we have the vice president here who can answer that question, so I'm going to punt to Dr. Kelly.
Yes, we have tried from time we've attempted from time to time to keep more venues open, and the biggest issue is not having enough customers to sustain, the overhead and what have you. The farmer's market is one of those places, so we always try to keep at least one venue open, but a lot of it is about usage and cost. So it's something that we continually evaluate, and I didn't bring data with me today, but I can ultimately share figures with you that shows exactly how many students frequent the various different food venues on campus, and that's the biggest reason, is that there's just not enough use to justify the financial overhead.
So the bottom line is, if there's a demand, we'll open up the cafeteria. So go ahead and lobby to get your students to stay on campus on the weekend. Postscript on your question about the presidency. Don't get too excited when you find out that whatever happens to President McPhee, because you're not going to get rid of me. I'm a tenured faculty member, and you still be seeing me around. Okay. Good. Great questions. Yes.
Hello, Dr. McPhee. My name is Gavin Palmer. I'm a political science major. Great to see you again. It just came out, I believe, a couple months ago by I think it was JP Morgan Chase, or a Fortune 500 company, about artificial intelligence. They said that the jobs that will be coming up is not about artificial intelligence replacing people, replacing actual jobs. It's the people who know how to use it. So in this stance, as students of this university, we want to make sure that we are prepared for this job market and those skills that Fortune 500 employers are looking for. So in that sense, what steps are we taking proactively to make sure our students are ready to go out and meet those jobs and skills needed in the field?
I see why you all have made the senator position here. It's an excellent question, and with that, I'm going to punt that question to the provost, because indeed, we have been talking about it, not only just talking about it, but we have had some plans put in place and some activities from our faculty, and that is under the direction of our distinguished provost, Dr. Mark Burns.
Yeah, great question. So over the last year or so, there was a faculty and staff committee that we formed just to look at, Vice President Yvette Clark was on there from IT, representation from across campus to look at this very question, what to do about AI. So just recently, they did produce a report with some recommendations that is now, I think, waiting for the president to take a look at. So that's part of it, and that's more sort of what can we do as a university-wide. What can we do in the classes? Well, ultimately that's up to the faculty members, and I know there is a lot of activity because I talked to the deans and the chairs about what's going on. We're looking at degree programs. We've sort of gone back and forth about, do we actually do a degree program, a major in AI or not? And there's sort of an argument. Some people say, yes, it's so important, we need to do it. Others say, no, it is important, but we need to sort of incorporate it into the existing majors that we have. So for political science, it would be better if the discussion and teaching about AI and about political science was done in those courses. So we're still discussing, frankly. And it's such a rapidly changing thing that it's in our processes of developing academic programs or many things, but they're not rapid. So we are looking at programs. Right now we're relying on a task force with its recommendations. We have a data science center already in place, which sort of in cooperation with the data science degree that we have in the College of Business. So, it's all connected, and we're doing the best we can to keep up with it. There are all sorts of seminars, national meetings. The higher education press is full of stories about AI and how to use it, both among students and faculty. When it first came out, we all worried, the students are using it to write their papers or do their assignments. Well, now we see that some faculty are using it to do their PowerPoints and their lecture outlines. So we don't have it totally figured out. Let me just be clear about that, but we're not ignoring it either. So, thanks.
All right, good questions. Let's keep the questions coming. Yes. Then come back. Let's go.
Hi, my name is Symphony Smith. I'm an early childhood education major.
Why don't you turn on your mic?
I guess my phone mic's on.
It's not working?
Um,
Okay, speak up a little louder.
my major is early childhood education, and I'm minoring in journalism. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. And my question, well, first let me get my statement. I realized that within the on-campus dorms, there seems to be a lot of health and safety hazards, being black mold pests, stains, things that are outside of the residents' control. And I know that the campus is working on warm and cleaner permits. And my question is, will there be any more upgrades or improvements to the other dorms on campus?
Great question. And obviously, the safety and the health and the wellness of our students is the #1 priority. I'll ask the Vice President to speak to that in a moment, but let me tell you and let me encourage you, if in any organization the size of MTSU, you're going to have experiences that perhaps does not really represent the institution. The only time we will know about it and can do something about it is when you tell us. And obviously, the university holds its responsibility to making sure that you are in a good living and learning environment. We certainly are not going to ignore if it's brought to our attention that there are areas, whether it's a residence hall or a classroom, that needs attention. Okay, so I will tell you, if you're dealing with some of these issues, it's not because of neglect. Make sure that you let us know and it will be addressed. But Dr. Kelly, you can speak to the rest of that.
Yeah, and just to underscore that, there is a process for filing work orders. If you're having any issues, don't assume that housing knows about them. And they've done a much better job recently of addressing those and getting somebody out there to look into it and fix it. So please make sure that you're doing that. If you're not getting the kind of response that you need, and I sent this out earlier in the semester to all residence hall students, send me an email and let me know if it's not being addressed in an expedient manner. And obviously there's gonna be some situations where it may take a little bit longer based on the maintenance issue, but if it's not being addressed at all, let me know. Going through an assessment with the residence halls and upgrades and what have you, and I can't tell you specifically, and I don't want to tell you specifically because I don't want to make a promise and then you say, well, Danny Kelly said that we were going to be making upgrades, but we will be on the priorities are going to be the older halls that really need a little more attention, obviously. So, but stay tuned, and when we know exactly what's going to happen, we will let you know. I just don't want to make any promise and get hold to something that could change. That answer your?
And remember I said the university is 114 years old. I live in Section 8 housing too, the president's residence. And I'll tell you, there are some areas in that house where I think I could make some of the same comments that you have made. I also will tell you that my first or second year here, we actually did Danny, I think you were here, we did a $20 million renovation and an upgrade of a number of our residence halls. Took them offline and upgraded. It's time for us to take, as he said, another look at some of these residence halls. We are, as you know, we've turned down demolishing Womack as we speak, and we're in the process of building a 550-bed new residence hall that you'll see construction beginning that sometime next year. Okay, so we're aware of the wear and tear and the maintenance. We try to keep up with it, but the message we want to leave is, if you live in one of the residence halls, or even if you're in a classroom building, and you see there's needs for repair, for issues that need to be addressed, let us know and we'll get to it, okay? All right, yes.
Hello, my name is Miracle Willingham. I am a junior majoring in forensic science, and I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. My question is, I work at the food pantry, the MTSU food pantry. I've been working there for about 2 years, and I've seen an increase of students averaging around 30 to 40 students per month. And I just want to know, what can we do as a university, or what can you do as president to accommodate the increase of students we are now getting?
Very, very good comment, observation, and question. In fact, we are very much aware of the concern of the issue of the need for our students, not only in terms of food, but also clothing. I mean, we have many of our students have some really serious economic challenges. We actually have in place and encourage our board members and others to provide financial support to address some of these issues. Give you an example, just a couple, 2 months ago, we partnered with Community Church, Community Experience Church in our community. They have given us $150,000 to provide support for students who are in need, like what you're talking about. I'll also tell you that a number of our board members each year, they provide for emergency funding to support our students. And I know that I have had board members who have actually bought groceries to the food pantry. And most recently, the chairman of our board of trustees delivered to my office a whole stack of clothing to be part of what we have offered to our students. So we are very much aware of it. Obviously the demand, and even now in this new environment, particularly with the government shutdown and questions about whether or not, the support that the government gives to those in need are now being in question. We need to do a better job, but I'll tell you, we're on top of it and we're doing the best we can. Very good question, thank you. Yes.
Hi, I'm Jada Jackson. I'm a social justice journalism major here, and I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I was wondering why DEI programs were removed so quickly over the summer without communication with students.
Well, one, we did communicate with students. Let me make that very clear, that part of what we are required to do by law, we have to follow the law. If you've been keeping up with the news nationally and also in the state of Tennessee, with the new administration, the first day that President Trump sat behind the Oval Desk in the White House, he signed an executive order requiring that institutions and public state institutions eliminate all DEI programs. That was then followed up by our General Assembly, where in April of this year, they actually passed a law, a legislation mandating that the university eliminate all DEI programs. They didn't even give us a period of time to say within the next 6 months or 3 months. Upon the signing of that law by the governor, it became in effect. So it would be for us, the reason why we had DEI programs and initiatives is because we believe, based on our values, that's an important part of what we do. But we are a state institution, and we are required by law to follow what those legislations say. So we had no choice but to eliminate those programs. And we have sent out, there's always the communication issue, but we have sent out communication to the campus. We didn't immediately eliminate. In fact, we had some discussion about how we should phase those programs out and what kinds of programs that we should, or opportunities we should put in place that would not conflict with the law. For an example, while we had to eliminate, and we worked with the President SGA, you sent out a communication about this, that you had, you gave us the opportunity to take a look at it, and we provided some feedback on it. But for the Intercultural Diversity Office, for an example, we had to eliminate that. We had to. But rather than eliminating the people, we had to be very careful, because we were warned by both the federal government and the state that if you just change the name and continue to provide those programs as you had, but just by changing the name, you are still in violation of the law. So what were the consequences? If we had not followed the law, your Pell, your grants, your fund from the federal government would be taken away. And we've seen it happen with some institutions. One institution that is dealing with this right now is George Mason University. And you perhaps have kept up with some of the issues with Harvard University, Columbia University. So I want to make it very clear that we had to eliminate, but in case where we are able to make adjustment, we actually established a care office and department that the individuals who were in the intercultural diversity office, they transition into that office, but the programs, we could not say or advertise or produce evidence that those programs are for only diverse or inclusive. It was for any student, regardless of race, gender, etc. Okay? But we have no choice. Absolutely no choice. Yes.
Hi, my name is Amaria Foster. I'm a junior and I'm a major in criminal justice with a minor in criminology. Mine is kind of more like of a concern. I don't know if you have say-so over this, but I know recently when we had our big career fair, and a lot of students kind of like expressed that they weren't able to find a lot of opportunities that fit their major or like what they're trying to do in the real world. And for me, I know that I want to be like a paralegal, legal assistant. I know that a lot of political science majors don't tend to get that opportunity. So have you ever thought about like reaching out to other like connections to specify for those type of majors, not even just political science, but like others in general?
Well, I'll have to, I don't know who has the career, you, that's your area, right? But I'll tell you this, I have actually, not in the most recent years, but I have visited the career fairs from time to time when they have on our campus. And there is a good set of representation of different industries and careers. Now maybe we need to do more in that area, but I'm not sure I fully understand, and maybe Dr. Kelly can really speak to what areas that were not represented that we could actually bring in to address your question.
Yeah, the Career Center, when I'm in preparation for the big career fair every year, they collaborate with all of the academic units and really rely on them to provide good information in regards to the different companies that they should be outreaching to. And there are several hundred. If you went to the career fair, I mean, there are several hundred companies, colleges and universities and so forth that are there. If there were ones that were not there that you really think should have been, send me an email. And they are literally, I mean, they put this together, as soon as the career fair ended this year, they're already hitting the ground preparing for next year, because it is a huge endeavor connecting with all those different companies and so forth. So if there's ones that you think should be there, again, send me an email and I will make sure that I share that with the director of the Career Center so they have that on their radar moving forward for next year.
This is one of the good reasons to have a session like this, because we want to hear from you. We want to hear what areas we can improve on. And I want to reiterate, if there's an area where obviously there's an opportunity to have a particular industry that have not been present, let us know and we will try to make sure we address this. And obviously each year there are new professions, there are new areas that come online, so we just need to keep up with some of that, okay? But very good observation. All right, let's go in the back and then I'll come back. Yes, sir.
My name is Nathan Duarte. I'm a freshman and I'm studying political science. Mine was more geared towards athletics. see, and TSU has poured millions of dollars into, let's say, new buildings like the Student Performance building, and even Build Blue campaigns. But our school attendance in games still ends up being severely low compared to other schools such as UTK and Memphis. We even rarely make headlines in certain cases nationally or even in our own state. Is there any sort of concrete plan that we have to try to boost our own media or even our own sort of attendance in our own sports or athletics?
Win games. Now, I will tell you, I've been around. I spent 7 years at Oklahoma State, 8 years at the University of Louisville, 5 years, you just mentioned, at the University of Memphis. And I've been at all of those institutions that have experienced the struggle that we are talking about right now, okay? And there are programs, and I know you are talking about some of the revenue-generating sports like basketball and football. But this university has 18 Division I sports that have great support. In fact, our women's golf team, our tennis team, if you go to a how many of you have been to a tennis match here? And is there just 2 or 3 people there?
There's a solid turnout, relatively.
Absolutely. Women's basketball, how many of you have been to a women's basketball program? All right, so right now our football team is struggling.
Right now.
That's very insightful, right? But keep in mind, this is the coach's second year. It's just second year, and he's building. What you all need to do is not wait just until we start winning. You need to come and bring your friends to the game, and then you know what's going to happen? ESPN will come to the campus, and then the Tennessean will have a story on it. So while they have to win, you as a student body and your friends and your family need to support the athletic program, not just see what is not happening, but be engaged. Obviously, we want to have the kind of excitement that we see in other collegiate programs, but it's an area where it's being built. Don't negate the other programs that are doing exceptionally well in our athletic program, okay? Football needs to do a little better job. All right. You had your hand up. Did I answer your question? Do you have the football question?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is King K. Hollings. I'm a junior majoring in recording industry with a concentration in music business. My question was, as you said earlier, your term as president of MTSU ends in, or your contract, something earlier.
Ends in December
26th. Mm-hmm. So my question was, as your term is coming to a commence, what would you instill into, if not extended, what would you instill into the next president, or honestly the next person that leads this university, to make sure that they don't really uproot all the things that you've instilled in the university in the last 25 years, to make sure that they still have this connection like you do with Senate, to make sure that we still have these student leaders who have the voices that they have.
Well, y'all really have some good questions. Some of these folks here might be the next president right here, so y'all listening to him? Very good question. Then, in each administration, of course, a new person comes on board, they're gonna have their own ideas. They're gonna have their own initiatives. I would hope, though, just like I began this conversation by saying it's not all about Sidney McPhee, the progress of the university is a result of the people. These folks in the front, our faculty, our staff, our board of trustees. If you ask me what my advice would be to that new person, it would be listen to our students and to our employees. And take time to figure out where you are and what the university has accomplished before you make any decision to make any changes. A lot of times when new people come on board, new leaders, the first thing they want to do is turn things upside down. And 25 years ago, I was a new leader. One of the things I didn't do was start throwing everything out of the window. But there's a point where you have priorities, and that new president might have some different priorities, and the personality might be totally different from the outgoing president. But I would imagine that there has been such a great success with these people here that I wouldn't speculate what a new president would do, but the university has made good progress that I would be very surprised to see a total 360 change in the direction of the university.
Thank you.
All right. Gosh, you have a lot of questions. That's good. That's good. Let's spread the wealth around and go. I'm going to get each of you, okay? So, yes, in the back? Yes.
Hi, President McPhee. First of all, thank you for your time. My name is Ana Salinas. I am a food science major. I'm from Honduras, and I'm also an international student. So my question is specifically that during this entire year, there has been an evident decrease on international students coming in because of the political stance, one can say, towards them. So my question is, to the current international students on MTSU, what is MTSU support, or in what way do you stand with the international student community?
Well, first, when you go back to history, I was an international student. I'm originally from the Bahamas. And I remember leaving Nassau to go to all places, Texas. And knowing one of the reasons why we made a lot of efforts, quite frankly, during my tenure in international students was, having had that experience, I realized that the university need to put a lot of support and resources to encourage and help international students and diversify the campus. And that's one of the reasons why we have a large influx of international students over the last 25 years. We are still committed, but there are areas, of course, you've mentioned the political landscape is such that we have no control, literally, over some of the things that are happening. For an example, the new administration has gone on record just like a month ago and actually said that their policy is to cap the number of international students. I think it's like the 10% or in a single digit that universities can admit or bring into the. So what we have to do is the ones that we have to make sure that we provide the support for them to be successful. And we do that through our Office of International Affairs that reports to the provost. We have an Office of International Affairs with a vice provost. And even though we are still having these challenges from the administration, these policies, we're still sending out our recruiters worldwide and doing as best as we can to help them maneuver the visa issue. We've had situations where the first 2 months of the administration, several of our international students, their visa were dropped without them even knowing about it. And how they knew was that we actually, our office, went and did a search on the SEVIS, that's the program. Yes, and found out that like 6 or 7 of our students' visa was just completely, so we are aware of these challenges. The best we can do is try to work around them.
As an international student, it kind of feels like, I know we have the International Student Office, but we don't see that care, we don't see that commitment from the university. So is there a current plan? Is there a future plan? How does that look like? I know we can't control the political aspect, but for our current students, the ones that are here, what does that support look like?
So a little more specific, and this area goes to the provost because that person reports to him. What would you like to see from our international office that you're not getting as a support? I guess that would be helpful to us.
Okay, so as an international student myself, I find myself in a lot of concern, a lot of like, basically unknown. Like, I don't know what my future is gonna look like. Do you get what I'm saying? Because of the current state.
So how can we help? I guess my question is, what can we do from your perspective or what you're hearing from your colleagues who are international students that the university is not delivering that could be helpful to you?
I would say like provide more resources. There are a lot of career fairs that are going on campus, but it is not accessible to most international students. So I think creating something aided to them would be helpful.
Let me suggest you do this. You have some of your colleagues, because you're speaking not just for yourself, I've spoken to several of your internet. The provost, I'd like for you to make arrangement to see the provost, bring a few of your friends, and let's have some discussion about what you all think the university can do a better job with it. And I can promise you that if we can do it, and if we can provide those services, we will. Because we're really committed. International students, all students are very important to the university, so we'll do our best, okay?
Thank you.
All right. All right, let's go you, and then I'll come back to you in about, yes.
Hi, my name is Chris.
Yes, and we'll get you next in the back. Let's hear the gentleman.
I'm Ephraim Rodenbach. I'm a sports journalism major, and I'm a junior. And I was just wondering, how do state funds received from the Tennessee State General Assembly get dispersed at MTSU?
Okay, that's another good question. There's a process called the formula, and I don't want to, it's very complicated. Most of us don't understand it. In fact, we just sent a letter to the state about a week ago telling them that the process that I have in place perhaps is not as equitable as it should be. But essentially each year, each university has to go to the legislature during the budget discussion. I have to present our budget to the university. There are certain questions that they ask that we have to respond to prior to going to the legislature. I have to present against the House Finance Committee, the Senate Education Committee. They then make a recommendation to the General Assembly. But first, even prior to that, the governor makes a recommendation with regards to the budget for higher education and all the universities. And in fact, your question is very timely, because just today, the governor had his budget meeting with higher education, and our Vice President for Business and Finance here, Drew Harpool, actually represented the university, where on the system, you have the UT system, the LGIs, the community colleges, they present the budget in behalf of their group. And then it goes to the legislature. We go and we defend it, and then the legislature votes on what that budget is. Just to give you a high level, 20 years ago, the state, 20, 30 years ago, funded about 80% of the cost of your education. Today, Drew, that is less than what?
It's in the
30%. And so, to make up the difference, the university has to raise tuition, because we have to support the operation of the university. We have to pay the bills. It's cold in here, and that's because we don't have enough money to but that's the process and the formula, just to give you just a snippet of what the formula involves, it depending on the number of undergraduate programs, graduate programs, the number of high-cost programs, there are certain items associated with each of those variables that determine what your budget is going to be like. Okay? All right.
We have time for about 2 more questions.
All right, thank you for saving me. No. I do have to go and cook, right? You all want to eat later, right? Okay. Yes.
Hi, my name is Krista, and my question is about the removal of DEI policies. Obviously, with that removal comes the removal of certain scholarships, such as the Freshman Dream Scholarship and MT Diversity Scholarship. Does this raise concerns about decrease in diversity in our demographic, and have you thought about accommodations and scholarships?
Good question, and that ties in with your question, Senator Jackson. Actually, the issue of the scholarship was were actually prohibited even before the executive orders and the legislation this year. There was a Supreme Court decision that basically mandated that institutions not exclusively limit scholarship to race or gender. And more specifically, even if an individual a private person, and our Vice President for Development can speak to this much more eloquently than I can, but we cannot accept a scholarship from a private citizen. Let's say I want to give a scholarship just to African American students or LGBTQ students or transgender students, you name the categories. The university is prohibited from administering that scholarship because of the law, the Supreme Court law. And Joe, you might want to speak a little bit more to that.
Sure. It's been several years that for a number of years, the university has not been able to accept scholarship on any type of exclusive basis. It's race, gender, nationality, any of those factors. Have Title IX said you can't do any of those. We only had a very small handful of scholarships that were established. As some of you know the history of what was called the Geyer desegregation suit that allowed us to hold, I believe there's 14 scholarships that were dedicated specifically to African American students. Those scholarships, we can no longer use that singular criteria in the selection process. However, everything else about those awards still stays the same. Financial need, grades, where you came from, the majors you're in. So we don't think that this will have a very large adverse effect on our student population. Fortunately, we're getting enough scholarship dollars, particularly those that have need basis, which one of the things we do find is that a lot of students who would fall into these other categories still qualify for need-based scholarships. So the dollars are still approximately the same that will be available to service that student population.
But you are correct, both of you, that the impact, of course, with some of these policies does result in some negative, not only perceptions about the university, but enrollment. In fact, I saw a report just last week where the number of diverse students at some of the Ivy League schools and some of the private schools have decreased significantly since these new laws and new mandates have come. So it does have an impact. And I'm concerned actually about our university in this regard because we are known for providing these kinds of services, and it very well, over a period of time, students can say, well, this institution is not, it's not true, but based on what we are limited to do, people can say, well, I want to go to X university rather than Y, as long as it's a private university. I think some private universities have a little bit more flexibility if they're not getting any public or federal funding on it. Okay. All right. You want a follow-up question?
Yeah, so without these scholarships, how would you want to promote diversity through this institution?
Without the scholarship? Well, I said, Mr. Dale said that need. So it's you can be whatever, you can be a student of different background, economic background. If the need is there, we still can award those scholarships. We just can't say we'll give it exclusively to you because you're white, black, brown, or yellow. Okay, so it doesn't take all the criteria out, just the race and gender. All right. Yes.
Well, I'm Evan Aker. I'm a freshman and I'm a cybersecurity management major here. And I was just wondering, with the current government shutdown that we're experiencing, will that have any impact on needs-based financial aid going into the spring semester or forward?
Yeah, well, Well. I don't know, just to be honest with you. I would hope that before the spring semester here, the governor will be open. But if it's not, I just can't see this going into January, February, or March. And if it does, then we will have to figure out a way how we continue to meet the needs of our students. Okay? But to be honest with you, I don't have an exact answer to that question. All right. Any last burning questions before we wrap up? Going once. Thank you so much. You are awesome. I am proud to be your president, and I look forward to seeing you at my home in about an hour. I will go get my apron on and prepare a great meal for you. All right? Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Before our special guests leave, we're going to take a group photo real fast.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
How are we gonna do this? Are we all just gonna stand there? How are we doing this? Do we all just stand where we are?
Are we standing or sitting? I feel like
I don't think we'll have to sit. Can you see everyone behind my hair? Because the right might not have been here today.
Everyone, listen up. He's going to give instructions about the photo.
Listen up. I need everyone to go ahead and stand up.
Get that. Person's sitting down on these pants. My backpack. We can make the folks.
It's all right.
Here's my shot, James. I really wasn't
I
ready
know, I
for
was
this.
like,
Come here.
Which one? Here we go. And 1, 2, 3. All right, let me check that. Again. 1, 2, 3. All right, and last one. Here we go. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3. Got it. All right. Okay.
Bless him. Bless him. Yeah, no problem. Is it because he's black? Is it because he's black? I did not know his name.
I couldn't do it.
He did say
Earlier inside, we were talking about, do you think we'll get him to say it?
So many dudes, we ain't got no money.
Here. Aliv.
Ali. All right. Senator Avila.
Here.
Senator Carrion. Here. Senator Crabtree.
Here.
Senator Cleveland.
Here.
Senator Foster.
Here.
Senator Gandhi. Senator Grace Hernandez.
Here.
Senator Grisby.
She's in the bathroom.
Senator Grover.
Here.
Senator Haddix. Senator Herrion. Here. If I was looking for your name, which is correct. Senator Hollings.
Here.
Senator Jackson.
Here.